Alright, so I'm looking at that like to dislike ratio and I'm thinking this is probably not a very good review, but let's give this guy a fair shake, shall we?
But yeah, I basically complain a lot.
Hey man, you and me both.
Look, I have 100% in this game on Switch, so I don't want to hear anything about skill issues or getting good or how my opinions are subjective.
Alright, we're in total agreement here. There's no attacking this guy for his subjective opinions because, well, subjectivity is all we got. If there's some underlying truth to the matter, the only way we'll find it is through subjective investigation. So, I agree.
Believe it or not, this game isn't perfect, alright?
Absolutely agree. It's almost perfect, but Hollow Knight has plenty to criticize. Maybe this isn't such a bad review after all.
My first of
14
complaints is the level design. Yeah, there are details to separate the look of areas, but not enough. Can you tell me the visual difference between Green Path and the Queen's Gardens? How about Deep Nest, the Ancient Basin, and the Abyss? Or Fog Canyon and the Fungal Waste?
Okay, so if you're very well acquainted with Hollow Knight, you probably could tell those areas apart. But is it a problem that the Queen's Gardens and Green Path look so much alike? Maybe. It's definitely an argument. I don't think it's completely outrageous to suggest that these similar looking areas could be differentiated to a slightly greater degree.
This game's environments mostly consist of dark hallways with bugs, dark hallways with ash, and dark hallways with crystals.
Yeah, alright. Okay, sorry, I'm really trying to be charitable, but that's completely insane. You know, sure, the game does have a lot of relatively dark hallways. It does take place underground after all, and yes, it has a lot of bugs, but you know, those are like the people in this world, so it's like complaining about Lego City being mostly tall buildings and Lego people. And then you grab two random environmental props, those being crystals from the Crystal Peak and ash from the Kingdom's Edge. Like, what? Those are some of the least generic props in the game. Oh yeah, Hollow Knight, it's like every damn area is filled to the brim with only crystals and ash. Gosh, it's so boring. Alright, calm down, Holland. Now you're just being rude. I'm sorry. That was probably just a fluke anyway. Let the man speak.
The game lacks that distinct atmosphere. I also know that this sentence is a more personalized opinion than the rest, but I feel that the music doesn't feed into the atmosphere as much either.
Oh, it's getting really hard to defend you, sir. I can't say I have a charitable interpretation of that.
You spend most of those 30 hours of backtracking and exploring for useless items as well. The actual useful power-ups that are in this game are far and few between.
I actually have a video talking about Hollow Knight's progression and whether or not it fails. Suffice it to say, it's not just as simple as put in more rewards. It's really tough to constantly be handing out goodies to the player without making the game too short or breaking apart the balance.
So you'll end up getting a collectible that has the sole purpose for being sold off for money that you'll eventually lose, thanks to this game's death mechanic.
Oh, finally, something I can defend. I think you can make a reasonable case against Hollow Knight's death mechanic. I've never done so because I don't know that I have a better solution. There is something engaging about getting punished for your mistakes, but that doesn't mean the current system is the perfect punishment. Sadly, the reviewer doesn't provide us with any alternatives. Always easier to criticize than it is to fix, eh?
And often, these useless collectibles are hidden behind an annoying platforming challenge.
Okay, see that text he put on screen? I think that's really important. This is difficult at this point of the game. I agree, it's a moderately difficult platforming section, but what the heck is the problem with that? See, unless you're in a really bad mood or you're just not clicking with the game, there's no reason why a bit of challenge should be anything but fun. Don't you want to be challenged? Like, at all? Besides, this is an optional path, as you state yourself. Just leave it be and come back later if it feels overwhelming. Sorry, what was I doing again? Being charitable? I'm really trying, okay?
Oh, you want the Shade Cloak? Well, you're gonna need the Crystal Dash from the Peak first to get the Monarch Wings. Then you're gonna want to get the King's Brand, which can be obtained from fighting Hornet a second time, which is an incredibly difficult boss. But first, in order to get there, you need Yzma's Tears found in the Royal Waterways, which requires a simple key to get access to. If you want a specific power-up you saw online, look it up on the wiki and prepare to get sidetracked by a multitude of tabs.
I'm sorry, look it up on the wiki? Why are you looking up late game upgrades on the wiki? I think I might have found the source of the problem. You're not even trying to enjoy the game. You might actually just be playing it to give it a bad review. Listen, I'm not blaming anyone for getting stuck and having to look up where to go once you reach the late game. I did that. But wanting to find a specific upgrade you saw online, looking up how to get it, and then complaining when you have to, I don't know, play through some of the game first, that's absurd. What, you don't want late game rewards? What even is this criticism?
Wiki and prepare to get sidetracked by a multitude of tabs. Oh, and back to that example with the Shade Cloak. You only use it outside of combat just to get around 2 gates in the game. Only one is mandatory to progress in the story.
That's what you were literally just complaining about. Oh my goodness, I'm going completely insane. This is so wildly... Oh, I can't even speak. This is so wildly self-contradictory. Just think about what he's saying. He just complained about progression being hidden behind mandatory upgrades. And right here, in the next sentence no less, he's complaining about an upgrade not opening enough gates. Do you realize how those two wishes are mutually exclusive? Man, the definition of wanting to have your cake and eat it too.
Going back to power-ups and collectibles as a whole, the main way of upgrading your character, charms, are incredibly unbalanced.
Hold on. Forget everything I said. I kinda like this guy.
Let me first state that needing to buy a charm and take up a precious charm slot just to see your location on the map that you have to buy, along with an item you have to buy to fill it out, is absolutely criminal. If you're playing on Steam, download the Compass Always On mod. It is not shameful, it is not cheating, it is just being fair.
Yes, it absolutely is shameful. I'll put aside that you had to download a mod because you didn't want to give up a charm notch. Why are you complaining about buying the quill? For 120 geo, it's not that expensive and it's permanent. Come on, man. You're making up complaints that have never been thought of before.
So the addition of a bank, whether or not it's hard to find, is incredibly useful. However, something the game doesn't hint to you at all is that once you deposit 2.5k or above, the banker will just run off and steal all your money. The game gives you like no hints where she ran off to. She's in this one obscure room in this obscure building that requires a simple key. A resource that can be hard to track down.
Okay, we're now a bit later into the video because I'm really trying to find any semblance of a sane argument. And hey, I think this one is pretty good. Millibel stealing all your money can feel a little unfair. When this happened to me, I found it very unexpected, not frustrating, just a cool twist. I never expected to get my money back, so when I eventually found it, I was happily surprised. But it's still somewhat of a bold move by Team Cherry. The right move if you ask me, but I can see why you could find having all your hard-earned geos stolen a bit frustrating.
I also want to mention a positive of this game, the boss fights.
Oh, finally. Oh, please, please don't let there be a caveat.
Most of the bosses in this game are really fun, although challenging. They can be over in seconds, so when you die to a boss, it's not too bad because they're fast-paced action fights. Is what I would say if it weren't for the runbacks. Hence that asterisk. Like Dark Souls 1, you'll have more trouble making your way back to a boss than actually fighting it. Actually, scratch that, because some of these bosses are harder than their long runbacks.
Okay, again, you're mixing up your arguments. Are you now also complaining about the bosses being too difficult? If so, you should make that clear. Anyway, the long runbacks. I think the runbacks probably serve a purpose. They're practically an extension of the boss fight that follows, and if you get good at the runback, you might start the fight with more soul or health, which makes it a unique test of skill. But I will agree that the runbacks can feel slightly menial, which I'm not a huge fan of. So that's a fair piece of criticism in my book.
Alright, so this door right here leads to Crocomire, a mini boss in this game. He's known for being pretty challenging, you know? There's a save station right here. Doesn't take any challenge away from the game.
Yes, it does. Of course it does. The reason you're complaining is because the runbacks add challenge to the boss fight. You might argue that it's bad challenge, and that's a separate claim, but to say that it doesn't take away challenge from the game is just absurd.
Hollow Knight is just an endless cycle of high risk, low reward. It's a great start for someone who wants to get into Metroidvanias as a genre, But to say it's better than Super Metroid? With dull rewards, scarce power-ups, a map too open for its own good, a dull atmosphere, an overall sense of over-ambition, I respect the game for what it's done to the culture, but I can't enjoy myself playing it. Hollow Knight is a good Souls game, but a terrible Metroidvania.
Well, that sure was one heck of a review. I've never witnessed so many unsubstantiated claims in my life, but perhaps I'm just missing the finer nuances. It feels to me like this reviewer had an animus towards the game for one reason or another. Whatever that reason, I'm sorry you didn't get to enjoy the game that so many of us fell in love with. I went a little harder on the poor reviewer than I thought I might, so if you could go watch the original video and give him an honest rating, that would be awesome. There's a link at the top of the description, and please be kind. I'm sure he's a great guy, even if he's not the best video game reviewer. If you enjoyed this review, please consider subscribing, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye!